Welcome to the Sunday morning simulcast with Rom Wills. It's not always a bad thing to hit rock bottom. And I said I would address this last week. I said I would address that subject this week. And I'm going to tell you what, it's terrible. You hit the bottom and everything, and you're like, oh man, I've hit rock bottom. And it can be a bad thing on some levels, but it's not always a bad thing for one simple reason. That means you can start over again. You can start fresh. You can get rid of stuff that was really weighing you down because think about something. If you hit rock bottom anyway, that means stuff in your life was not working well anyway. If stuff was working for you, you wouldn't have hit rock bottom. And it could be on different levels, maybe that you're using some illegal or sometimes legal substances or something. You're in a bad relationship. You're living in a bad area. It could be so many things that you needed to get rid of first. That's why it's not a bad thing. But see, once you hit rock bottom, then you can start over. And I know what I'm talking about. I hit rock bottom. I've mentioned several times, there was a time when I had a family, we were living in a friend's basement. We were staying in a friend's basement. And then when I had to go out and get jobs, there was a time I only had one t-shirt, one shirt, one good pair of pants. And I had to come home, wash them, do all that stuff, just go back to work the next day. It was so many levels. And then, I wouldn't say rock bottom, but there's other times I've come very close. But see, the thing is, you got rid of what got you there. So it's not a bad thing, because then you could start over. You can build up. That's the beauty of it. Because once you hit rock bottom, you have no place to go but up. And that's how you have to look at it. Yeah, it's bad. You get there and no, it does not feel good at all. It doesn't feel good, but you can also build up. You can build up from new. Because like I said, there was a time that's all I had in clothes and everything. Now I have more shirts and clothes and pants than I really know what to do with. Seriously, I've given some away and I still got more. But it's not about the clothes. It's just about being in that position. It's about being in that position to win. It's like really learning something, doing the things I had to do, getting jobs. I always joke about having 1,000 jobs. That was one of the things. Every single job I learned from. Every single one. Sometimes you got to do some stuff. Sometimes you might get into some and you might say, oh, you know what? I got to get this job just to get money. But then you learn something. And then there have been people who've gotten into some jobs that they didn't think about. They might have had to get into just for survival at first. And then they would start a successful $1 million business. And I've seen that a few times. Look, I'm going to tell you what. You have to always say, everything isn't bad, but it's a learning experience. It's a learning experience. But let's talk a few seconds about, a few minutes about even getting to that point. If your life was going so good, if everything was going so good, you wouldn't have hit rock bottom. Think about that. If everything going so well, that means you got to really look at your life. See, that's something else too. You can sit back and say, well, hold up, how did I get here? And then you will look and say, well, wait a minute, these were some things I shouldn't have got into, or these were some things I should have did, something like that. That's actually a good thing. Then you can learn from that. You can build off of that. Think about it. I want y'all to think about it. How'd you get there to begin with? So it's not always a bad thing. That means what you were doing was not working. And it's like, it could be bad, but then you have to build up. And as I said, I've known some people, read stories about some people, they would hit rock bottom, but then start a business or start something, do something, and all of a sudden they would start rising up. And that's why it's not always a bad thing. when you hit the bottom, when you hit that bottom, you know what, just say, you know what, how did I get here? Then think, okay, let me climb up. And then I'm gonna tell you what, when you climbing up from that rock bottom, you don't have to do it fast. Maybe you have to do it slow, take your time. You have to look at everything in your life. Take your time, build up, because you wanna build up to the point that you don't hit rock bottom again. So don't make the same mistakes. Don't be in the same relationships. You might have to move. Hey, you had to do some stuff different because apparently what you were doing was not working. Then you build up, but then you're learning. And then you don't want to make the same mistakes again. Now, here's something too. If you keep hitting rock bottom, but you're not changing anything, what good is it? That's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. You hit rock bottom and then you do the exact same things that got you there and then you back there again. Then you back there again. And there's some people there in those lives, they never rise from the bottom because they don't learn the lesson. It is about learning. It is about not doing the same things. It's about what we have to go through, what we have to like figure out about ourselves. And that's hey, let me jump on that real quick. You learn about yourself. You learn what you won't take. You learn what doesn't work for you. You learn yourself. That's the biggest lesson that any of us have to go through. We have to rise up and be a better version of ourselves. When we hit rock bottom, we were not the best version. But then we learn about ourselves. We're like, oh, wait a minute. That's something I shouldn't get into because this is what happened. All right, let me rise up. Let me start climbing. And as you're climbing, even as you're climbing, you learning stuff. You learning something new. It was like, hey, this ain't a bad path, you know? Or these the type of relationships I should get into, both romantic and friendship-wise. These are the type of people I should deal with romantically. These are the type of people I should deal with friendship-wise. I might need to move. This is the type of job. This is what I really want to do, you know? So it's not a bad thing, because I'm gonna tell you what it can be a bad thing for is people, they stuck. They ain't hitting rock bottom, but they're not growing either. Because you always want to be in a position of growth. And if you ever get in a position where you are not growing, you are not becoming the best version of yourself, then you need to learn something. And a lot of people have said, you know, I wouldn't have been successful if that particular thing hadn't happened. I want y'all to think about that. So it's not always a bad thing. When I look back at some of the bad things, I was like, you know, I learned from that. And I've had some bad moments. I've had some bad moments. And I have no shame in talking about that, you know? But I learned from them. I grew from them. That's the most important thing, all right? I want y'all to think about that. So if you're going through something now, it's not a bad thing. It's something to learn from. It's something to grow from, all right? I want y'all to think about that. Really think about that, all right? So anyway, that's all I have for today. I want everybody to keep rising and transforming into the best version of themselves. Peace and blessings, everyone.